Adeolu. Betsy Obaki is taxing women on nation building. Daniel, what would you say the role is? How important is it for women to get involved in nation building?
Women have always been involved in nation building. They are the pioneers of nation building. There is no nation without a woman. We don't call he Nigeria. It's a she. Nigeria is a she. So that's to tell you that the foundation of our country was founded on women and how important they are to the instrumentation of the development. But I think Africa as a continent had not realized how important that is. And that's why there had been a lot of exclusion. Other parts of the world, have evolved faster than Africa in
Yeah.
terms of understanding how much impact women contribute to the development of the nation. And until African leaders holistically come together to agree that women should be taking the front row seat when it comes to decision making in the country, like they are taking in families. The woman determines the structure of the family. As Sweeper says it all, says when the woman is happy, everybody's happy.
Everybody's
So
happy, right?
if I want to go by that and go by the traditional thinking, I would say that the reason why we are very in this terrible state in our country
Hmm.
is because a lot of women are unhappy,
I'm happy.
and they are unhappy with how the government has treated them and their children and their husbands,
All right.
and what they have done to them.
Now, suicidal artisan climbs Lagos Telecom's mast, holds residents for fellowship. This report has it that an aluminium technician, Daniel Bassi, yesterday spent 2 hours on a telecommunications mast in Yanopaja area of Lagos State, threatening to commit suicide. Now, it was gathered by the Punch that Bassi climbed the mast at the NASFAT Center, Yanopaja, around 8:30 a.m. and refused to come down from the mast till around 10:30 a.m. after some emergency management workers and residents pleaded with him. So, correspondents and journalists on ground learned that the artisan called residents of the area for fellowship after he climbed the mast. And the acting zonal coordinator of National Emergency Management Agency, Ibrahim Pranaya, who confirmed the incident and Bassi claimed he was pushed to climb the mast. He claimed, rather, he said a man who climbed the mast possibly to commit suicide was convinced to come down from the 200 feet mast unhurt. In an interactive discussion with Nema, Lasema, and the police, Mr. Bassi was incoherent and could not make a complete statement. Climbing a mast to, gathering people for fellowship and threatening to commit suicide. What really do you make of this quickly before we call it day? Because is it like, religion extremism, fellowship for to hold a sermon, or, the report is not clear on that. It says fellowship. And
Well,
then he was threatening suicide.
suicide is a disease
Yeah,
in the
it's not
first.
something we should take advantage of.
It's
We
not something
don't
we should
get
take
to
advantage
threaten
of. Yeah,
people
threaten
that
people.
you want to commit
You want
suicide.
to commit suicide, and so it's a disease first off, and I think we should treat it as such. We should treat it as such that it's a disease. Such man should be taken for psychological evaluation. It's a lot more deeper than what it is on the dailies, but no one should manipulate people into
Mm-hmm.
getting what they want. But that doesn't take out the context of the fact that
Yeah,
um,
people with serious mental health issues. Yeah.
people with serious mental issues, and we need to pay close attention to it. The fact that Africa had failed to identify with mental illness quite early. We had always seen it as a rich man kind of sickness or a rich man
Oh,
disease,
we will sickness.
or is Oyibo sickness, as is one of the reasons why there's still a lack of understanding. Till today, a lot of local languages do not have a translation for the word suicide.
Mm-hmm.
They don't.
Mm-hmm.
The closest in Yoruba language is Ibanuje, and Ibanuje doesn't really quantify what suicide means, or having mental breakdown, or what it means. What it means to have a mental breakdown. We don't see it as that. We just feel like you're sad or something,
Mm.
and that's why we have a lot of work to do. A lot of awareness is being done
Yeah.
currently. A lot of advocacy is being done, but still, there is need for us to understand that in this time and age, we must not joke with mental health
Mental
awareness.
health. True. All right, then 07031756537. We'll connect with Adeyemi Adeomi shortly. He's our analyst on the newspaper review this morning. 07031756537. Details on protest over bad Lagos Abeokuta road. Unfortunate political that's coming from Governor Abiodun. Now, the Sango Order, Ogun State, end of the Lagos Abeokuta Expressway was on lockdown yesterday. When members of the NLC, that's the Nigerian Labour Congress in the state, and some residents protested against the deplorable condition of the road.
Yeah.
And the NLC had on October 6th stormed the highway with a threat to shut down the state if nothing was done about the road within 21 days. And good morning, Adeyemi Adeomi. Hello, good morning to you. Yeah, good to have you join us. How was the week going for you? All right, that's good to hear. So we'll start things off with the situation at Lagos Abeokuta Expressway. Yesterday, the NLC organized a protest, and some residents protested against the deplorable condition of the road. The NLC had earlier this month, as October 6th, stormed the highway with a threat to shut down the state if nothing was done about the road within 21 days. The union members, after the expiration of the ultimatum, mobilized to the expressway to block it. The workers and residents carried placards with different inscriptions, including enough of bad governance, that for Abiodun, let us enjoy the dividends of democracy in Lebanon, that for the suffering is too much, you know. And the protests that created gridlock, of course, as many travelers plying the road were stranded. Now, the NLC chairman in the state, Emmanuel Bankole, said open workers have declared the Ministry of Works and Housing, Babatunde Fashola, a persona non grata for deceiving them. Now, he said, and I quote, interestingly, a few days ago, they started some works. We can see some loads of granite by the state government, but this was not what we asked for. The minister was here and he promised to commence immediate palliative, which is yet to happen. Now, the federal government, he went on to say, cannot be collecting all the money and be inflicting pains on us. The Ogun State Governor, Dapo Abiodun, has reacted and he expressed disappointment at the demonstration. So he described the protest as unfortunate and stated that at the governor's office in Abeokuta, while speaking in a virtual meeting with representatives of the Ogun East Senatorial District on the 2020 budget. So he said the attempted demonstration in Sangota today is most unfortunate. Some people take delight in painting our state in a color that does not represent our state. Ogun and Lagos governments have made attempts to get the federal government to release the Lagos Ota Abeokuta road to us for reconstruction, but no response. He says, I have called on several occasions for the federal government to give attention to the road. That road did not just get bad in the last 2 years. So he called on the people to stop playing politics with the issues affecting the lives of residents. And he disclosed that 75 billion naira would be needed to rebuild the road. All right, so let's hear what you have to say about this. Mm. Right. All right. Mm. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is wrong. Now, Daniel, he's saying now that 75 billion is what is needed, and the states cannot afford that. Let's
Mm.
hear what you have to say about this.
So I would be disagreeing with Adeyemi on, I would agree agreeing with Governor Dapo Abiodun, and I know specifically that as at 2017, 2018, 2019 to be precise, even the early 2020, there had been conversation of the Lagos State and the Ogun State government trying to come together to see how they can both come and fix that road. So they cry out by the people might be painting the state governor back, which the governor is absolutely correct about that. Take for example, sir, that road construction
Mm.
would not make its way into Ogun State budget or Lagos State government's budget.
Okay.
Why? Because the State House of Assembly would say that road is a federal road. Why are you going to be taking a federal government project? Let's not forget the federal government still owe a couple of states money for fixing some federal roads, and they have not been paid in full. The person we should be holding accountable to this is Babatunde Raji Fashola, is the one that we should be holding accountable to this road. Now, this road has been put under construction to the best of my knowledge, for over 7 years. There have been ongoing construction at different points, at different parts. I know Lafarge Cement took a part of that road and fixed a part of it on their own end,
Yeah.
where the road really affects them, and they took it upon themselves to fix that part. I don't know if that was with the Lagos there, with the government of Ogun State, or with the federal government support, but they were able to do that. That road does not need federal government funding for it to be fixed. Ogun State, to be precise, holds the highest number of industrial companies
So,
in
what side are
Nigeria.
you on? You started off
No,
with saying that
yes. So it doesn't. Why
you
I'm
were in
well, now I'm trying
agreement
to
with the
provide the
party on this.
solution, because when they
Yeah.
said 75 billion is what is
Yes.
needed for that
Yes.
road, right? Ogun State holds the highest number of industries in, and that Songwater, Lagos
Mm-hmm.
Abeokuta Songwater Road. That is where a lot of these organizations are. Why don't you give these people some tax evasion? Let them evade tax, and in the essence of doing that, you allow them fix the road. There is a very big religious institution on that road. They have the capacity to also
Mm.
put money down
We
for
heard
that
for some
road
time
to
they
be
were going to
fixed.
fix it, and then
There have
some
been there
people
have been several
came and
allegations
said
that that they want to
they
fix
shouldn't
the
fix
road
it, that there's
and
already
stuff like
budget
that,
for it. Yeah.
and all of that. So I think that the federal government needs to explore other options of getting things done. We must not always want things to go through the government for things to be done. If we are always going to go through that route, just because some individuals are conscious of how much they would lose or how much would not get to their pocket, I am very certain. Give these people tax evasion. Maybe they are paying maybe 35%, 7.5% as VAT or whatever it is that they're paying. Tell them to pay half of it. Let their CSR focus on that road. Give that road 2 years. That road will be in a very good state. So I think
Yeah.
the problem of this road. A lot is to be blamed on the federal government, less on the state on the state governors.
All right. Adeyemi, you want to respond to that before we move on to what Wike has to say? All right. Yeah. Mm. All right. Ademi. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. Now let's move on to Wike Fayemi harping on financial autonomy of judiciary. This report on this day newspaper has it that the River State Governor, yes, some Wike, has reiterated his disagreement with the stance of the federal government and the Nigerian Governors Forum on the issue of financial autonomy for the judiciary. According to the governor, confining autonomy for the judiciary to finance a loan is antithetical to the concept of independence of the judiciary. So the governor accused the ruling party, federal government, of using the issue of financial autonomy to um, Daniel, how about integrate themselves with the judiciary after years of obvious frosty relationship between them. So he stated that the federal government must stop using security agencies to intimidate and influence judges if it truly believes in independence of the judiciary. So Governor Wike stated this yesterday in his remarks at the NBA President's Dinner in honor of delegates to the 61st annual conference of the NBA in Port Harcourt. He contended that it is disingenuous for the federal government that uses security agencies to bully judges to direct states to implement financial autonomy for the judiciary. So let's hear what you have to say at the end. I needed help with the pronunciation of Ingrid Ingrid. Yeah, no, please go on. Go on. Yeah, yeah, go on. Mm, mm. Okay.
Hmm.
Mm. All right. All right. Mm. Okay. Yeah. All right. All right. All right then. All right. This we have our analyst Adeyemi Adeolu on the line with us. Via phone, he is the analyst on the newspaper review on Women Radio, WFM 91.7. I am Kimberly Upiebo, and of course, I don't do this alone. My co-host Daniel Adaja. Daniel, now Fayemi also noted that the issue of financial autonomy has been controversial in regards who is responsible for capital funding and expenditure of the courts. Now, according to him, the NGF is already seeking legal clarification on the matter. And speaking on security, Fayemi said those states have been at the forefront of supporting the law enforcement institutions. They insist on the need for multi-level policing that should keep the federal police, but should also allow in the constitution state police. Now, two issues now raised from this report. But let's get your thoughts on the what Wike is happy on. Um,
Yeah,
financial
financial
autonomy.
autonomy for our judicial
Yeah.
system, it is non-negotiable. I think that we should go past that conversation. But Wike is right. If you look at the trials of Nnamdi Kanu lately, the last one that happened at the court, and you saw the heavy presence of the DSS and how they prevented journalists and other member of the public witnessing that case, and seeing the number of heavy security presence, the intimidation by our political system, the intimidation of the use of security architecture to intimidate the judicial system is more concerning than financial autonomy for the judiciary. Because at the end of the day, when you have given the judges financial autonomy, but then security agents are used as tools by government in order to perpetrate and allow for their own desires and not the will, and not the judge to be fair in his judgment to make way. What is the essence of financial autonomy? So Wike in his right is correct to say that this indigenous move by the federal government on forcing state governors to give financial autonomy to the judicial system, and the same federal government will still make use of the Department of the State Service to intimidate judges into coercing them into saying, there's so many allegations that have been put out there against the Department of State Service, and that is a lot to be worried about, because at the end of the day, it would only be that the financial autonomy will help enrich the judges, but where is the fairness, or where is the trust of the judicial system? One of the reasons why there has been a lot of push for the judicial system is so that we as citizenry can trust the judicial system. We can believe that the process is not being controlled by the government, and that's why they want us to do that. But if that is not taken care of, there will always still be a problem.
All right, it's 8 o'clock. Yes, that's the Dell, and we'll take some messages now. This one says, "Good morning. I'm Abiola from Ikeja, traveling from Sango to Akure. The worst road and death trap road, and federal government find it difficult to fix." Abiola, thank you for your message. This one says, "Morning in the studio. Thanks to," he said, "on crisis and killing in the north, it will continue because people or elders from the north see it as we see it in the south end." Okay. You sent this message in twice. This one says FEC gave NMPC directive to construct 21 roads across the country, and it's a welcome development so that the NMPC will stop wasting our money on fraudulent subsidy. On Anambra election, elders in the East should talk to IPOB members to maintain peace before, during, and after the election. Have a wonderful day, Engineer Warifu Kodu. And this one says, "Good morning, Kimberly and Daniel. I'm appealing to the good people of Anambra State to go out en masse to choose the person that they would like to be their governor for the next 4 years. Otherwise, they will be creating the space that some external forces have been trying to create, knowingly or unknowingly. Thanks, Chooks from Ikeja. Adeyemi, do you want to comment on the situation in Anambra? The election is drawing near, it's on the 6th, and we're still getting the back and forth between IPOB and some, Igbo elders in the region. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay. All right. Yeah. Okay. All right then, Daniel. Do you want to
Absolutely,
comment on that?
absolutely. Ademi said it very well. The only concern that I have towards the Anambra election is, the people have to understand how important this election is to them. The people must take power and control. They must not allow the opinions of others influence their decision. They must ensure that wherever they are going to pick to represent them come November 6th is the person that their heart goes with and the person that they believe would be the best person to represent their state and move their state to the next level. Everything that Amy has said this morning, I totally agree with.
All right then. So after 48 hours, that's 2 days, the eNaira app is removed from the Google Store amid criticism. Now, the Central Bank of Nigeria says it will not bear any liability for any interruption, loss of revenue, or loss of services arising from the use of the eNaira website. So this is just as the eNaira Speed wallet disappeared from the Google Play Store yesterday after over 100,000 users had downloaded it. Now, the developments came, like I said earlier, after 2 days after the eNaira app was launched by President Muhammadu Buhari at the State House, Abuja. In his address, the president said the e-currency would help increase remittances, foster cross-border trade, improve financial inclusion, make monetary policy more effective, and also enable the government to send direct payments to citizens eligible for specific welfare programs. And on Tuesday, over 100,000 downloads were recorded on the eNaira app amid negative reviews and low ratings. And on the CBN's website, eNaira website, the Apex Bank warned users that it will not be held liable for the loss or corruption of data. And now, the CBN also warned against fraudsters. In another report related to this, the CBN is warning that everyone should be mindful of the fraudsters amid low feedbacks and ratings. Daniel, what is your take on the inner app disappearing? Do you have hope it will come back and be better?
Well, it has to come back. It's going to be a tough one. This is a new venture for the CBN. and I'm hoping that they can make this work. This is supposed to be able to reach out to the unbanked Nigerians. This is supposed to be able to get to Nigerians who are unbanked, and for them for transactions to be able to go seamless. But I took time yesterday, and maybe when somebody asked, and I said a few things, I have to go back and ask more questions on what exactly is the benefit of this e-naira. So beyond there's literally not a lot of benefits. Definitely from the fact that maybe you will not be able to spray money at parties and all of that.
Yeah, so that's to reduce, the
But
use of
that is
notes
but
around
if
as
there
well.
as even though my bank, for example, now
Mm.
would give me only 3% at the end of every month or at the end of a year, the Inera wallet would not give you any benefit. It's the same value of your money that you have in cash, is the same value. There is no interest going on it or anything at all. The advantage of this is that it cuts away that bank interface of charging you money when you make transfers. So I can move money
With
from my
bank
wallet
charges.
to your wallet
Mm.
with I think at zero bank charge.
Zero bank
So
charge.
that is something that we can
So how
see
about the
that would
CBN saying
benefit.
they're not bearing the cost of any,
That is I'm seeing when I read that report this morning, I really did not know how to react. So I was going to wait till I asked the financial expert, what does this mean? Because I don't want to be quick to critique them by saying you are creating something and you don't want to be held responsible for it.
responsible?
Is there more to this that an average Nigerian who is not a tech
Okay.
enthusiast would have an
Yeah.
idea of?
So now over to your DME, that the CBN also alerted Nigerians to the activities of fraudulent individuals and imposters. That's expected. That they are working to swindle unexpected members of the public through the false e-naira disbursement claim. So we all have to be really careful if you're listening. The fraudsters are luring Nigerians with claims that the CBN was disbursing 50 billion naira, billion e-naira currency to citizens. All right. And he said the imposter handlers and fraudulent persons have been posting messages related to the e-naira with the intent of wooing unsuspecting Nigerians with claims that, the CBN was making the financial disbursements and that they were bent on defrauding innocent and unsuspecting members of uh, the public. Now, Adeyemi, let's hear what you have to say about the situation with the e-naira, the disappearing from the Google app and, warning to Nigerians. All right. All right. No, Daniel, did you say it won't benefit the people? Of course, it's to our benefit.
Yeah, of course, it would benefit us. Like the
Yes.
fact that it cuts out it.
He's just saying it's minimal. He's looking at it from, the day to day, the average Nigerian. But, even Nigerians in diaspora can take advantage of
And
the eNaira
yes,
app because then you can
um
buy things online and Okay. All right. All right. Okay. All right. All right. Okay. So let's take some messages now. This one says, "Good morning in the studio. On judiciary independence, I think federal government who is trying to say judiciary independence must give the state government must be given by the state government, but same federal government use DSS and other security to intimidate judiciary by not permitting press and other people like lawyers in court premises when some trial of Nnamdi Kanu and other high-profile cases are going on. This also intimidates the executive, additional Wasi. But Daniel, isn't this also a practice at the state level? Intimidation of judiciary. Don't we hear that state governments also?
Well,
Is it just the
we
federal
see
government?
that that is even where there's a big scare in that, because of that is what has been known with our political space, especially every successive government, of where security agents are used to to create fear in the minds of Nigerians. We saw what happened during NSAS, even at the NSAS memorial. We saw a couple of the clips that went viral, and it's a question of how we understand the system. The police itself, the security agents themselves, do they even agree by the policies and the laws that govern that institution, or are they just going by orders because they have to take orders and secure their jobs?
All right, this message says if the eNaira app can help to transact Naira to other currencies, that would be a good development. Okay, on text message portal, this one says, "Good morning, Kimberly and Daniel. I don't know if the past and the present governors of Ogun states travel to other states to see the level of infrastructural developments in those states. If so, they should be ashamed of themselves for receiving monthly federal allocations and yet nothing to show in the state. I must say the federal government should stop giving allocations to state like Ogun State for not using the money judiciously. Anderson from Kentucky. All right. And this one says, Kimberly, you're not reading my messages from Comrade. It says federal government is our problem. Let them allow DAPO to do our road. Daniel Rydon, there must be a level of trust from the judiciary. Meanwhile, they have to be autonomous. And this one says, Daniel, that Abiodun should be allowed to do the road. President should allow him. The GO of the church adults have been trying to fix the road. All right, comrade, that's so much we can take from your messages, but thank you very much. Now, let's move on to the situation with NDLEA proposing rehab centers in each geopolitical zone. This is Women Radio, by the way, newspaper review on air right now with our analyst for the morning, joining us via phone, Adeyemi Adeolu. I am Kimberly Ubiabo, and of course, my co host, Daniel Adaje. NDLEA proposes rehab centers in each geopolitical zones. The National Drug Law Enforcement Agency has said it would be establishing a standard rehabilitation center in each of the 6 geopolitical zones in the country to treat the high number of persons suffering drug addiction. Chairman and Chief Executive of the NDLEA, Brigadier General Buba Noah, disclosed this in Abuja yesterday at the 5th National um, Convention on Drugs and Drug Policy in Nigeria, organized by the Center for Research and Information for Substance Abuse. Now, speaking as a special guest of honor, Mawa said, and I quote, "Substance use and abuse around the world, including Nigeria, is on the increase in terms of the proportion of the world's population. And findings from the NDLE National Drug Use Survey conducted by the UNODC revealed that 14.4% of 14.3 million Nigerians aged between 15 to 64 years had used a psychoactive substance in the past year for non medical purposes, meaning that one in every seven persons has used some substance other than alcohol and tobacco. He says more worrisome is the finding that among every four drug users in Nigeria, one is a woman. And above findings, a survey by the UNODC gives a troubling portrait of drug abuse in Nigeria, and we can no longer live in denial that Nigeria has a thriving illicit drug culture. Now, Adeyemi, what would you say is the root cause of this, and also, how we can get it right, fix this, fix the issue of drug abuse in the society? Yeah, 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 yeah. All right. Yeah. Mm, mm. Okay. Mm. Right. But Are they, I mean, in the US also, they have the issue with drug abuse and they have, an economy that is stable. This happens in developed countries as well. Mm. Okay. All right. All right. Smoking weed. That's sad. Yeah. All right. All right. Adeyemi Adeolu, thank you very much for coming on the newspaper review this morning. Let's get your final words on the newspaper review this morning. All right. All right. Then. Thank you very much. Thank you. So drug abuse, is a long time issue, Daniel.
Yeah.
It's not starting today. Or would you say the social media is contributing greatly to, the
Yesterday I was
high
looking.
use of
Yes,
drugs?
it definitely has contributed largely. Largely has contributed. Now we have children below the age of 12,
Hmm.
below the age of, between the age of 13 upward now, not getting access. Between
Drugs,
12 and
yeah.
15 having access to drugs. I was watching a documentary a few months back on how a 13-year-old got access to drugs from Snapchat.
Wow.
Was able to get a buyer and got where to
Right. Yeah,
get
the
it and all
dealers
of
are
that. The
even
dealers
online.
are online now, and all of the social media apps, their policies say we don't support this, we don't do this, and all of that. But Amy mentioned something which I think is very
And
critical.
sorry, before you even
Yeah,
go into what I do, I mean, even the media generally, because we have a lot of our artists that in their music videos they smoke,
promote these
they
things.
promote these things. So do you
Mm.
think maybe they should be censored in one way or the other if your videos, have these things in place and even air? Maybe that's another way to regulate. Because when these people see their role models
Mm.
smoking, and these are musicians that are doing very well
Okay.
that they even recognize abroad. So it's like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, in their defense, these people are doing well. They
Mm.
smoke, but they do well. So I
Mm.
can, do these things as well. Do you think that can somehow maybe the government should consider that
Well, I think
perhaps?
as adults we are responsible for our actions, but the fact that there are a lot of children who are watching, and
Watching, yeah.
one of the fastest way a lot of children learn is by seeing and replicating what they
Mm-hmm.
see.
Mm-hmm.
I think when we have stories of individuals who have had near-death experience, someone like Ariana Grande having a near-death experience with
Drugs.
drugs,
Oh,
almost died, was in coma
how
for
recent
days.
was this?
This was barely during COVID. This happened
Oh,
during COVID. It was very, very, very recent. So you have things like that going on, and then you wonder where is the place of the adults being responsible for the fact that they are role models to people out there in the public. So it's a personal responsibility, and as you grow older, you get to understand that you have the right to make choices. You
mm-hmm.
can decide
Mm-hmm.
to do something or not do something, irrespective of things like that. What I wanted to say about what Adeyemi said is
Yeah.
the fact that he as an individual, he mentioned that we should take children to places where they see the repercussion effect of these things.
Mm.
So how early can we start taking children to like the psychiatric homes and tell them this was what they took that made them this way. Because there are certain things you
Do
can
we
teach
even
a
have
child.
juvenile courts in Nigeria?
We do. We do have juvenile courts. We have
Okay.
juvenile courts, and I don't know about what the prison system of the juvenile system looks like, but I know. But taking children to see this thing. I'm watching a documentary. I just stumbled on my timeline a few days ago of people under the age of 12 who are doing hard sentences, for several things. And I think these stories would be important when children are getting to see these things. That, oh, this person was involved in these things at a very young age. While I was still in the university, there was one church I visited one time. A friend invited me, and then they were showing us hard stop substances and playing videos for what they can do to your body and your system. So from a very young age, we can drive home that message. And like Ademi rightly said, education is key.
All right, then. So that's it on the newspaper review. More messages coming in. All right, we'll take them hopefully tomorrow when we continue the conversation on the newspaper review, 7:30. And this is where we draw the curtain. Until tomorrow, same time, 7:30 to 8:30 a.m. Make it a date with us. I am Kimberly Opiebo. And of course, Daniel Daja. And big thanks to our analyst this morning, Adeyemi Adeolu, and our producer, Esther Larebe. All right, that's it, Women Radio. The program continues on the full breakfast. At 9 o'clock is the news update, and then Panorama follows shortly. Don't go away.